Welcome to episode 186 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here. And this week we've got Kevin Martin of Candlebox.
Sounds good saying that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue well. Right?
That's right.
So I guess that means that this podcast is for you. Only you.
That's right.
Fuck you, it's for you.
Yeah, oh my God.
Sorry.
How did I not see that coming? Random question.
Okay.
Did you ever watch the mini Airborne documentary on YouTube?
When was this?
I told you about it. I've called you out like a couple times on the podcast.
Seriously?
And I told you I'm going to keep asking you because you need to see this. And I thought I'm going to do it completely fucking randomly today.
Yeah, now I'm drawing a complete blank on this even happening before.
Yeah, it's like happened twice.
Right.
We even talked about this. So I just wanted to just randomly throw that out there.
Okay, about when did it come out? Roughly?
I don't fucking know.
Okay.
I know that I've discovered it, I don't know, sometime towards the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And it's probably, I don't know, 30, 35 minutes long. And it's fucking rad. It's awesome. You need to check it out. Was it
like around the time of the last album, that kind of thing or something?
I think so.
Oh,
okay. And, YouTube it. It's on YouTube. And, so yeah. And we talked about it on an episode. Right. And then I think somehow I brought it up on another one. And, and I was just thinking today, I'm gonna...
That part seems familiar if you called me out a couple times, but I forgot that that's what it was.
I'm just gonna throw it out there once you hit record.
All right.
So you better do it.
I'll do it soon enough.
Okay. I'm gonna check back.
All right.
Okay. Now back to Candlebox goodness.
Right. Yeah, we've got Kevin Martin coming up here in just a bit. But first, we gotta let you know, sponsored by DEB Concerts this episode and every episode. DEB Concerts brings in a lot of great shows here to Tulsa. Shows at the Ideal Ballroom of the 80s hard rock vibe, heavy metal, that kind of thing. They brought in a lot of great stuff in the past, like Tom Kiefer, Winger, Warrant, Lita Ford, Jack Russell, Dokken a couple times, LA Guns.
Firehouse.
Right. And now we've got coming up Sebastian Bach.
Nice.
On October 5th. Sebastian Bach will be here playing the hits of Skid Row along with Monty Pittman. He's got a couple solo albums out. Check him out if you're not familiar with him. He's Madonna's guitarist, but he's also been in Prong and Ministry. And that show also features One Bad Son. They're out on this tour as well. The next week, October 12th, Tom Kiefer with Sweatin' Bullets and Evil Twin. Tom Kiefer's actually been here before. I saw him last time. Seen him a couple times at Rocklahoma solo. Seen Cinderella a bunch of times, and that's always a great show. Then November 3rd, Kicks will be here with Sweatin' Bullets and Rocket Science.
Now that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, Kicks is another band that's always a fantastic show. In fact, one of the best live bands you may ever see. And then December 8th, we've got LA Guns coming back. And this time Junkyard will be there with them.
Yes.
And we're super excited about this.
Totally. I mean, what the hell? That's going to be nuts.
Yeah. Never got to see Junkyard, so finally getting
to
add that one to the list. And here just recently they announced that Grind will be opening that show.
Love it. It's about time.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. Good to have Grind on this. Speaking of Grind, just the other day they opened for Candlebox. Tying this all together. Not the show we went to, but they opened the show in Oklahoma City.
That's right.
At the Diamond Ballroom, which is pretty fantastic.
Yes, and from all accounts on the social medias and the whatnots and whatevers, it sounded like it looked like it went off like a good show.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Because anytime I've seen Candlebox, it's been good. Anytime I've seen Grind, it's been good.
You're damn right.
Well, speaking of that as well, we were just talking about a minute ago, that Brian Turnham,
yes,
the drummer for Grind, is a photographer, and he posted that Kevin Martin let him take some photos of him.
Yeah,
like some
professional,
professional photos, like outside there at the Diamond Ballroom or something.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get to see those soon.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think that's great. That's awesome of Kevin to do.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, all these shows at the Ideal Ballroom, hosted by Eddie Trunk, So get out there, meet him if you are inclined. The Ideal Ballroom's amazing. We love it. And we love DB concerts.
Definitely.
All right, so we're going to play some music.
I think so.
Yeah, we've got a song that came out earlier this month from Sprout the Anti-Hero. And you've heard us speak about him millions of times.
A great friend of the podcast.
Yes, we love the guy. And it's time you hear this new music from him in his solo project. This song is called Forward.
The old days are gone, and we're still going strong. Let's have a funeral for our bad days and cheer their passing on. 'Cause I don't mind the sunshine, baby. You sent away the rain. The hole has been filled. You took away the pain. Will you walk beside me? Stand with me forever. When I look in your eyes, I find love, Everything went white when my heart turned gray. 'Cause I don't know how I can live without you each and every day. 'Cause I remember the good times, baby, they never went away. I don't know how I can regret it all, but I found a way. Will you walk beside me? Stand with me forever. Will you walk beside me, girl? When I look in your eyes, I find love. When I look in your eyes, I find love. Will you walk beside me? Stand with me forever. Will you walk beside me, girl? When I look in your eyes, I find love. Girl, I'm telling you,
Forward, brand new song from Sprout the Anti-Hero. That's his solo project. He has said he's got quite a bit more music that's going to be coming in the coming months. And he's also getting ready to do a lot of shows, I believe, in October and November.
Yes. Looks like he's got a a full plate.
Yeah, that's a very cool song. I love getting to hear this, recorded. We've seen him a bunch of times live. I actually went on that tour with him and Dusty Grant, so I got to hear it many times. But it's great to hear this song recorded and hear his voice in, this aspect, because we've always heard his voice on different levels with the heavy music, but to get to hear it like this.
Yeah, it's just another side, another, style that Sprout does effortlessly. Great song. And, this guy can do anything he wants. Yeah.
And he even says when he plays that live, he wanted to write a love song that sounded like a funeral. And I think he pulled it off.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, way back, this was like late last year. You remember we went and had him on the podcast.
That's right.
And he played us several things he was working on.
Yeah.
Outside of this as well. He's got, you hear it in there, but, he does the guitar work. He does piano. So it'll be really cool to hear all the rest of this stuff once it comes to light.
Yeah.
And of course, he is the front man for Screaming Red Mutiny. So check them out as well. Great metal band based out of Tulsa. And speaking of Sprout, speaking of grind, Thunder Underground Fest.
They're going to be there.
Yeah.
Are you going to be there?
I'll be there, I think.
Hell yeah, you better.
I need to write it down, make sure it's not conflicting with another. No, I'm going to see Avatar.
Oh, shit. I knew it. I fucking knew it. You do what you want. That's definitely one thing evident. You do what you want. And I knew, once Avatar's in the picture, he's going to ditch his own fest.
Right. It's just the day you're playing, so who cares?
Yeah, see, here we go. I'll be left holding the bag.
Right.
Whatever.
But yeah, that's October 19th and 20th at the Venue Shrine in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sprout will be performing that song and many others. CJ and Dale from Grind will also be playing acoustic as well. Recently announced. And of course, like I said, Jason will be returning to the stage with Zen Hipster.
Thank you.
Yeah. All the days, or the bands for each days, were just announced a couple days ago. So get on our Facebook page, pull up the event, check it all out. 2 days worth of music, 18 bands.
Yep.
And it's only $10 for both days.
That's right. Tap the little going.
Yeah, and then tap share.
Yes, then tap share, definitely.
Let everybody know about it.
That's right.
It's going to be a good time.
Definitely.
So next on the agenda, have you ordered your Metallica watch?
No, nor will I.
Why not?
They got enough of my goddamn money on tickets for Tulsa and Kansas City. They don't need any more. They got enough. I love them. They're my favorite band. I don't ever wear a watch any goddamn how.
That's right.
What do I need? What do I need? I don't like wearing fucking jewelry and shit. What about me screams jewelry? I mean, I look like I'm ready for gym class most of the time. I mean, what the fuck? So no,
nothing
I love
about
Metallica.
You screams jewelry, but you love Metallica, so there you go.
But I'm not going to buy a expensive ass watch.
Well, what could they make that you would buy? A Metallica coffin? Like Kiss?
No, they could.
Or does it go back to what we were talking about last week, the Metallica Melon Baller?
I might buy that. They could go on a theater or large club tour, and I would buy one of those tickets.
Oh, well, yeah. How much would you pay to see him in a club?
Oh, man. We're getting crazy.
Right.
We're getting crazy.
It's not even on subject to the watches, but...
I know. What the fuck? I'd pay a lot. I would pay more. I would pay a large sum of money to go see them in a club than to get the stupid fucking gigantic meet and greet.
Oh, yeah.
At the arena.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's so many, tangents we could go off on here. I don't know. We might be best to just skip this one.
Okay.
Is
there any other news besides Metallica watches?
Goddamn, that's a slow news week. No, I don't think so.
Tomorrow night in Tulsa at the Vanguard, August 31st, Modern Myth is having their album release show.
That's right.
So get out there and check them out.
I'm glad you thought of that. That is very newsworthy.
Old friends of ours that have a great new band. We played them on the podcast before. And
yes.
I'm sure you'll hear them again coming up, but if you're in the area, get out there and check them out.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other great stuff coming to the Vanguard and the Shrine as well. So get on those pages and look those things up, because there's always some great shows around here, and no matter where you're at in the country, support your area stuff. All right, so is it Kevin Martin time, I guess?
I think so.
Kevin Martin of the rock and roll band Candlebox. I like that they got that shirt that said, "It's rock and roll, look it up." I thought that was kind of cool.
That is awesome. And, and if anyone could have a shirt like that, it's them.
Yeah, because they fit right perfectly in that avenue where it's like it's hard rock, it's heavy, but it's also just rock and roll,
Yeah, definitely. And their show was definitely rock and roll.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
Yeah, glad to be able to see him in a headline setting again. It's been quite a while. And, I mean, you can't ever say, I mean, we've said it before on here, way before now, and anytime I talk to anybody about this, that this guy is as good as you remember him on that first album.
Yeah.
If you ever saw him live back then, he sounds just the same.
Yeah, his voice has not changed. It has not weakened. It has not anything other than probably get better. I mean,
right.
This guy can belt it out, and the set list was fucking awesome. It was just a great show.
Yeah. Yeah, this band always got thrown into that. I mean, they're a 90s band, which is fitting. They didn't really get thrown in the grunge category, even though they came from Seattle.
Yeah.
But they would get compared to that stuff in the 90s alt rock or whatever you call it. But really, in that whole genre of music, there's no one stands above this guy except maybe Cornell and Lane Staley.
Yeah.
That's how good this guy is.
Exactly.
And it's funny that he even says in this interview that singing wasn't even what he really wanted to do.
I know. Imagine that, you know. But, and he's also all about the fans. He's a great guy. And I loved the Has-Been shirt he had on.
Yeah.
That was fucking hilarious. Yeah. So, just a good night all around.
Yeah, this current lineup he's got going is great. Adam, the bass player, has been there for like 10 years now, and guitarists are relatively new, but they're both great. And of course, Dave Cruisen's been there on and off for 20 years, I think, almost.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with him, he was the drummer for Pearl Jam's album 10, which I'm sure you know.
Exactly.
So you've got two pieces of Seattle rock royalty here on this stage, and they, like you said, kick ass. I mean, they played almost the entire debut album at this show.
Yeah. Minus,
I think, maybe 2 songs. And then they covered a lot of other ground. There was 2 or 3 songs from the new album, a couple songs from, more recent albums as well. And then they played Simple Lessons off the second album. They
loved
played
that.
Happy Pills.
Super loved that.
Which, as I mentioned to you before that, I remember that back in the day, you were like a massive fan of that album.
Yes, I fucking, I wore the shit out of that album. I mean, that CD, it's a wonder it didn't stop playing,
Yeah.
Because I've listened to that thing, relentlessly.
Yeah.
That's such a great record.
Yeah. I liked it more than Lucy.
Yeah.
Even though I loved Lucy when it came out, but I think you get what he said in this interview and even what he said on stage, it's like, it doesn't stand with the first one or the third one,
I see that.
As a full effort, at least, Yeah. But that thing I love about Candlebox is that when you hear, especially that first album, you can compare them to a lot of things. They have a lot of elements of a lot of other bands and eras, but it's all put together in a way that where you just hear it and you know who it is. It sounds like Candlebox.
Exactly.
Even though they're pulling elements of other areas, right?
And it doesn't, and it's never, their shit's never sound dated, I mean, it's all just rock and roll.
Right.
And, that's something you can really hang your hat on.
Well, let's do it. This is Kevin Martin of Candlebox. Shows last month. What was the feeling like on that?
It was nerve-wracking, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was. I think getting prepared for the shows, being that they were in Seattle, our hometown, and it was the original band, and everybody's kind of got other gigs except me. I've been doing this, since the beginning. So I think it was really about a comfort zone and how comfortable we were going to be playing that record only front to back with those guys. Preparing for it was a bit nerve-wracking. And I think the interesting thing was the first rehearsal, it just kind of fell right together. We ran through the set and it was like we never stopped playing it. And I think mainly for Barty, the bass player, who hasn't played these songs literally in 10 years, to kind of remember them and work through them. And it literally was like riding a bike. But the actual shows were pretty incredible. I don't think we expected to sell them out. I don't think we expected people from all over the world would fly in to see those shows. You as a band, you kind of start things and hope that you affect people somehow. And then 25 years later, you realize at a show like that, the value of the band and that we are still somewhat important, to people, rather than ourselves, being self-indulgent and shit. That's a very easy thing to do as a musician. And when your fans, validate what it is that you do. And like I said, people came in from Czechoslovakia, Japan, Mexico, South America, Australia. It was a trip. It was a real trip, but it was a great experience. If you'd have told us 25 years ago that we'd still be doing this, we'd have told you were crazy. But here we are.
How were the songs like the deep cuts that you hadn't played in a while, or maybe not played at all?
Like Mother's Dream and Rain, which the guys are out there working on now. Those are songs that, for me, the lyricist and melody writer and songwriter, it's kind of old hat. I've never forgotten. The only song, oddly enough, that I've ever forgotten the words on is Far Behind, which is, funny, because it's the most prolific track for the band, and obviously the longest running hit we've ever had. But Mother's Dream was, a piece of cake for me, but I think for the guys, to remember the feel, and like Barty couldn't remember if he was drop D on it or not. And when he would go to make the movement in drop D, it didn't feel right. So then he did it in standard tuning and it still didn't feel right. And then he remembered that he played it in a different positioning. So that took, 10 minutes of beating his brain against the wall to figure out what it was. For me though, it was interesting to watch the guys kind of work through those tracks, because they hadn't played them in a long, long time. And I did have to pull up the lyrics for Rain just because that song kind of meanders a bit towards the end, and I wanted to make sure that I had it relatively right. So I ran through it a couple times at rehearsal, and of course remembered it. But the deep cuts are those are the ones I think we forget about how much we like them, and why haven't we been playing them? They should have been in the set list every single night, but you kind of get in a comfort zone, and you follow the path that has been working for you for the longest. And so now with these guys, with Adam, Dave, Brian, and Island, having them learn these songs, even as they were fans of the band, and of course Dave's been playing with me since '97, those were tracks that he never played, so he's having to learn them. And it's fun, it's fun for me to look over him during the show and say, you just totally fucked that up. But your recovery was great, so you still have a job,
Had every single song been played live at some point? Or was there anything that was the first time at that show? Or either of those shows?
No. Obviously when we first started, that's all we had.
Right.
We had one cover song, Mountain Song by Jane's Addiction. So our set consisted of, for the first year of touring, 11 tracks and one cover. So they've all been played. But Rain, Mother's Dream, and He Calls Home hadn't been played live since 2008. No, that's not true, because we did the 20th anniversary tour, which was 5 years ago, and we did a couple shows where we played the album in its entirety, but that was with Scott. Scott was still playing with us, and the drummer, and then he left in 2015. So, yeah.
What are your thoughts like when you play with the guys you've got now, playing the songs from the first 2 or 3 albums? Like, what kind of feel do they bring to it? It might be different than the original lineup.
Well, I mean, that's a good question. As an instrument in your hands, regardless of who you are, it's going to sound different unless you're Pete playing that guitar, or Scott playing the drums, or Barty playing the bass. But the interesting thing is they bring a little bit more energy to it. I think mainly because it's so fresh to them. It's not something that they wrote 27 years ago. So they bring their influence and their tone to it, and their aggressiveness and their passion behind the track, which makes it exciting for me to sing it, because they're supportive and phenomenal players. I mean, they're not Pete, they're not Barty, they're not Scott. They are who they are, and their talent is parallel, on all levels. But Dave's feel, of drums from Happy Pills till Disappearing Airports is entirely different than Scott's on drums, So there's a bit more, I find, with playing with Dave, it's a little bit more liquid rather than maybe nuts and bolts, because Scott's very, very precise, and he is a mathematical drummer. And Dave is entirely from the heart. He's a total field player. So I prefer the element of the liquid movement when Dave plays, and those interesting inconsistencies in Scott's playing of the song that Dave brings to him, where maybe I felt as though it needed a bit of a push. With Scott, Dave gives it that push naturally, because I was started as a drummer, when I was 10 years old. So I got stuck with this gig when I was 20, and I'm still doing it. So I'd much rather be a drummer. But that's always been kind of my thing. It's really, really about the rhythm of the songs and how these songs move. And I sing rhythmically based on every song I sing. It's all rhythmic because I start every single song I've ever written with a drum beat either in mind or I've worked into my phone. Or a drum machine at home or something like that. So I always work around that when I'm building a song. I know with like Lucy was, for me, a record that I was disappointed in because it felt too strict. The drumming felt very, very surgical. And as loose as a record as it was, and as raw as it was, I always felt that those songs needed a bit more of like a topper head, and maybe from the Clash style of a drumming. Very loose, very fluid, very unregistered or unthought. And Scott was very methodical on that record. So, I'm like I'm a drummer's worst nightmare as a singer. Because they're the first one I look at. The fuck did you just play?
Gotta keep them in check.
Do you still play personally, or?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. When I get a chance, I don't have a drum set at my house, so I really miss it. I really miss it a lot, and I'll play sound checks and stuff like that just to kind of keep myself busy. But that's my first love of music, really.
Well, you mentioned Lucy. Is there any possibility you guys might do the same thing for the 25th anniversary of that? Or is that just...
Well, we've been approached by Live Nation about doing a festival in Seattle, an annual yearly festival. Because what we did in Seattle is we brought up 2 bands that we had played with predominantly in the beginning of our career, Sweetwater and Green Apple Quickstep. We played with those guys all the time back in Seattle. And as a matter of fact, we took them on the road with us quite a few times for tour dates and stuff. So Live Nation would like us to do a festival where we would be obviously the headliner, but it would be annual, where we would bring these bands that never quite made it. They had those songs on radio, they had MTV videos, people knew who they were, but it never quite broke. And they want us to do that. So that would be something like with Lucy, which will be 25 in 2 years. We would probably, play that record in its entirety. which would be interesting because that's an album that I really just don't like. I've never been happy with it. If I had an opportunity to remix it, if Warner Brothers would give me the fucking masters and I could go remix it, I would do it in a heartbeat because it's just a really, really hard record for me to listen to. So, but I always felt when we played it live, it felt right. When we toured on that album, I was like, God, this is how it should fucking feel. Why did it not come across this way in the studio? But that happens, I think, to every band. I think every band's got a record that's just like, ugh, we fucked that one up. Yeah.
Well, it was announced recently that you're working with G4L
Uh-huh.
and as head of A&R. Like, how did that whole thing come about for you?
I was introduced to Marcus through Robin Diaz. Robin was, he's a drummer that's out actually with Live right now. I met Robin 6 years ago when he was playing with Daughtry, and we've been the best of friends. He's filled in for Dave on several occasions. Dave had some surgery on his wrist. So Robin came out and played with us for about a year. And he knew Marcus and said, listen, this guy wants to run a label and I don't have any time. He wants me to A&R. And he's like, I know you love music and it's something you're into. Would you want to meet him? And I said, sure. And we sat down and had conversations. And I said, these are all the things that I've learned from my 25 years in the industry that A&R's fucked up or labels have forgotten about. And if you want to bring me on board, this is how I would recommend doing it. And we clicked instantly, and I had this band out of Galveston, Texas called To Whom It May, and I said, look, I love these guys. I think it's a great first move for you. They're metal. It's math metal, so it's kind of clutch. August Burns Red, it's got kind of that really intellectual songwriting. And I do feel that metal is probably the last genre of music that still has outside of alternative, it still has that support of mainstream rock radio. As well as, you've got Octane and all that stuff that's on Sirius and people pay attention to it. And you're not afraid to say, well, we're a metal band. It's very difficult to say we're a rock and roll band and we're on, mainstream rock radio. That just doesn't happen very much anymore. Unless you're Shinedown or something like that. So yeah, I brought Tim and May to Marcus, and he really liked the band, and we made it happen. And now we have 2 other bands we're signing this year, and those records will come out next year. And it's just moving forward. I mean, it's obvious next step for me, I think, as a musician.
How does the A&R position, you think, change? How's it changed since, or how is it since the industry is so different nowadays?
Well, labels aren't sending, A&R scouts out anymore. They're not flying them into Chicago to see bands play and stuff. And it's really just kind of, well, what's your YouTube count? What's your Instagram account? How many followers do you have? What are your socials showing? And for me, I want to take it back to how it was in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, where the A&R guy believes in the band, finds that band and pushes that band on the label and says, this is who you need to be working with, and this is how we need to develop them. It's really about artist development as well. Putting bands on the road for 6, 7, 8, 9 months, sending them to Europe for 6 weeks, having, go there first, create something that happens over, because the buzz in Europe is way faster than it is in the States. You don't have the conveniences in Europe that you have here. People aren't, constantly on their fucking phones and, going to, coffee shops and 7-Elevens and shit like that, like they do here. It's a totally different world. They live, eat, and breathe music. South America is very much the same. Still have that passion for finding great bands. And that's my concept, And I said to Marcus, I said, look, we're going to do this. You need to make sure you've got X amount of dollars to send these bands over there. They need to break in Europe. If that happens, they come back here. It's cakewalk. If you try to break them here and then try to send them to Europe later and they're successful in the States, it's very, very difficult. Because they don't want to hear it, because they didn't find it. They're not like, oh yeah, they're huge in America, so we'll embrace them. Kings of Leon's another perfect example, and the Strokes as well. Both bands broke in Europe long before they broke in the States. Yeah. And that's something that you have to think about as an A&R guy. How is this band going to work, and what part of Europe do we send them to? With To Whom It May, it would be Germany, Belgium, Denmark, Holland, England. Stay out of France. Get them over to Spain. Yeah. That marketplace. A band like State to State, this other band that we're signing that's very similar to like an ambient Lana Del Rey meets maybe Radiohead. Really dark torch songs, but big ambient epic songs. That would be a band that we would pretty much put in France and go to Czechoslovakia, go up to maybe Holland, maybe up to Finland, maybe up to Sweden. You got to kind of pick and choose that direction because that's where that music kind of works best. Build that foundation there, bring it back here, and push it. So it's a thought process and it's expensive, but Marcus has the money to back it, and if we do it right, we'll have 3 solid records next year that are a good kickoff for Chief World.
Did you have good relationships with A&R guys early on in your career? I know towards the end of your first record deal, it's reported that it wasn't that great, but I like it to be.
Well, that was a guy. I mean, that was
It's just
Guy O'Siri was an amazing A&R guy. He was fucking 18 years old when he found us, and we were his first signing. Then his second signing was Alanis Morissette, and the third was the Deftones. So he had that vision, and now he manages Madonna, he manages U2, he manages Pharrell. Like he's got a company called Maverick Management, which is huge, and he was very smart. I had met several A&R guys. We sat with Tom Wally and Jimmy Iovine at Interscope before we signed to Maverick. We had met with Dave Kaz at Sony, Jason Flom, all those guys. And Guy O'Siri was the one who took the chance and was passionate enough about us to make sure that the label took us on and spent the money the right way. And of course, 4 million records later in the first year, I think he did it right. I like A&R guys. I think they're interesting people. A lot of them are weird as fuck, but Gary Gersh, a genius. I don't know what he's doing now. I don't know if labels even have A&R anymore.
Well, speaking of how much everything's changed, you saw everything from before the digital age and now the way it's changed. Are you happy with the way things are as an artist?
Oh, fuck, I don't know. I'm happy about it. I mean, I guess I'm just, I've become kind of accustomed to it. Do I like spending 3 hours a day on my phone responding to emails and, Facebook messages and Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that? Not really, but I'm glad I'm the one doing it. I'm not paying my management to do it. I don't want somebody speaking on behalf of me. My words are my words, and there's not some guy that's being paid $20 an hour that's going to sound like I do when he types or writes what he writes. I mean, I have my own way of speaking, so that part of it, is a necessary evil. It's a love-hate relationship, but it's my job as the voice of this band and what I have to say on stage that I represent that on all levels. And do I miss the days of being an anonymous rock star that walked off a tour bus and into a hotel and was able to sit at the center bar and have a drink and no one would bother? Absolutely. Not having to do meet and greets and all that stuff. Now, I mean, everything's just so accessible. As an artist, you have to be accessible, and that's a difficult thing, man, because it's like I've got a family, I've got a wife and a son, and I like my privacy, and that's not there anymore. It's it doesn't exist in this day and age. So, am I happy with it? I guess the short answer is no, but it is what it is, man. I mean, I was one of those peer-to-peer guys back in the late 90s that was, getting shit from Metallica for sharing music. I was one of those guys. I was sharing music on the internet. And so I recognized very early on that it was happening. But, I came from Seattle, man. I mean, I had a buddy that worked at Microsoft. I had an email in fucking 1994, so I knew that it was out there, and I knew that the opportunities were coming. And I actually sat with Guy and Freddie at Maverick when we were making the Happy Pills record and said, listen, you need to get a webpage going. You've got to get a webpage for us. You're going to have to start blocking content. And they're like, what are you talking about? I mean, Maverick didn't have a webpage until, I think, 2001. Wow. And most labels were that way. And still, when you visit, Warner Brothers Records webpage, or you go to Rhino Records, it's so fucking dated, man. It's like the search engine doesn't work. If you're looking for a specific album, you type in the name, it doesn't come up, and then you scroll through some other fucking page, and there's the record that you just searched for. I mean, labels are so far behind the fucking 8 ball on all this shit still. I don't know how they're even existing. You know, I said to Marcus, it's like, you sure you want to fucking start a record label, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well just start a vinyl service, you know, and put your friends' bands out on vinyl and just, you know, split the cost or, you know, or split the profits. I mean, record labels are a fucking nightmare, you know. But he's found a way, you know, and we've got a good team behind us and good digital marketing. And so we have to play that game.
So what is it you think he's going about it different to make G4L successful?
Well, I mean, we're not successful yet. I mean, that's
get
yet
there.
to be seen.
Yeah.
But I think what he's doing differently is that he is listening to the people that are working with him, that have been in this industry long enough to understand what's right and what's wrong, and the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it.
Okay.
You know, and he's listening. He's not an egomaniac. You know, he wants to do something, and you know, you'll get 3 of us going, yeah, no, no one's going to do that, and you're stupid to do it. And we'll tell him. And he'll be like, why? And we explain it to him. He goes, okay, let's not do that.
Well, shifting gears a little bit, you know, talking about, you know, what do you do to take care of your voice and maintain it, you know, all these years later?
Whiskey and cigarettes.
There you go.
I have, you know, I was, I made the mistake of kind of mistreating it when I was younger, because I didn't know how to sing in a rock band. I had sung in choir from, you know, first grade all the way up to my senior year, but singing in choir and singing, you know, Italian pieces and opera and all that bullshit, it's entirely different than singing rock and roll. So I did not know what I was doing, and I ended up with a vocal hemorrhage in 1998. We were about to do 6 weeks with the Black Crowes, and we were in Phoenix, and I had a hemorrhage on a vocal cord. Which, you know, it's a blood vessel breaks, and, you know, you can't sing. 2 days later, your voice is gone. There's 2 days where your voice is immaculate because blood is rushing to your vocal cords. It's just rushing. And you can hit notes that you never fucking imagined. And you can do things with your voice. And then all of a sudden you wake up the next, you know, 2 days later, and you can't even fucking hum. You can't whisper. So we had to pull out of that Black Crowes tour, and that was the biggest, probably, career disappointment of my life. I had to heal my voice. In the process of that, 6 weeks of no talking. Of course, back then there weren't cell phones to text back and forth from everybody you wanted. I mean, there was, but I don't think you could fucking text anybody. So that was, you know, the longest 6 weeks of my life because I love to hear myself talk. And came out of that with a really strong voice. But in the process of that healing, what could have become a nodule ended up becoming a callus on my vocal cords. So I have basically calluses on them, which instead of them fluttering like they're supposed to, they kind of beat against one another. So I can't ever really harm my voice again. And my throat doctor's like, oh, just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. You know, you might want to stop smoking, but it's not seeming to affect it. But I'm one of the lucky ones, you know. I mean, there are a lot of singers. Like Adele's had 3 surgeries. I think Justin Timberlake's had 2. Steven Tyler's had 2. Axl Rose's had 2. I've never had surgery, you know. But I do treat it like it owes me money, which is not fair. I mean, but you know, I'm not about to stop the life that I live. You know, yeah. I want to live it. You know, and I enjoy it, and I'm going to enjoy every fucking minute until I'm in the dirt.
Yeah.
First time I saw you guys live was '93, opening for Metallica with Suicidal Tendencies.
94.
Okay, 94.
Here in Texas?
No,
or in
Oklahoma
Tulsa?
City. Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was that like going on stage before?
That was a Speedway, right? Didn't Jerry Cantrell get up and play with Alice?
Yeah.
Or with Metallica, yeah.
Yeah. Like you're going on stage before 2 pretty heavy bands. I mean, was the crowd by that point pretty?
It didn't even fucking sound right when they said, you know, Suicidal Tendencies, Candlebox, Metallica. Right. I was like, okay, this is gonna be fucking great.
I mean, did you get good crowd reactions or no?
No, we did. In Albuquerque, which was 2 nights before that Oklahoma City show, somebody had thrown a Jack Daniels bottle at me and split my forehead open. That's what we dealt with. And you know, for me to play with Suicidal and Metallica, I mean, Suicidal is one of those bands I grew up on. I grew up on punk rock. That's what I live, eat, breathe, and love. So it was a real honor for me, even though Mike Muir hated us, that Suicidal had to go on before us. And he actually threatened our lives in San Francisco. He's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you. If something happens to you, it's because of me." Which scared the shit out of us. And luckily, Metallica's tour manager had heard that when he said it to us and pulled him aside and said, "You do anything to that fucking band, you're off the tour." Well, of course, there's bad blood all the way right there. I mean, the whole tour was, you know, Mike was not happy. But I watched him every fucking night. I love Suicidal, you know. And Fight, of course, Rob Halford was a massive musical and vocal inspiration to me. That guy's voice is fucking unreal. And he was cool as hell, dude. He would come in our dressing room and fucking hang out with us and shit. And, you know, he's sober. And he would just sit in there and chat with us and talk to Pete about, you know, his playing, because he loves great guitarists and shit. And Rob was rad, you know. And then the Metallica dudes knew how to fucking party, you know. Of course, that's before the sobriety and shit. So the stories that I could tell, which I never will, you know, they make me giggle all the time. There's always Nashville. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Long Island. I mean, it's like there's just so many great memories. And actually, they were really amazing dudes. You know, those guys, Lars, James, Kurt, and Jason, were super, super gracious, and they would watch us. You know, they'd watch us play every night. And I did a stage dive in Las Vegas and came off stage after the set, and James was like, "Did you ever fucking do that again? You out of your fucking mind? They will kill you." And I go, "Well, they kill me. They kill me. I have fun." Yeah. But yeah, that was. And Rush, of course, was another one in '94 that you know, you pinch yourself and you're like, "Fuck, I'm touring with Rush," you know. I'm a lucky son of a bitch, dude.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. Pinch myself every day.
Right on. We appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Thanks, fellas.
There you go, Kevin Martin of Candlebox. Thank you very much to Denise from DMK Publicity. And of course, thank you to Kevin Martin for spending about 30 minutes with us talking about all kinds of stuff.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. What a rad guy.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah. It was great.
If you've never checked out the High Watts, or if you've never checked out the Glorious Few, do yourself a favor and do that as well.
Glorious Few was pretty good.
Yeah, cool album, and we got to see them live at Rocklahoma.
Yes.
Which, if you're not familiar, that's Kevin Martin with the guys from Live. Basically, similar situation to Alter Bridge. You know, you take all the members of one band and put a better singer in front of them. I'll say it. I don't care. I don't have anything against.
That's the closest I've ever gotten to seeing Live.
Yeah. I don't have anything against Ed from Live. I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, and of course, the new stuff from Candlebox, Disappearing in Airports, is a great album. All their newer stuff's great. See them live if you get the chance. That was cool. He talked about that Metallica tour.
Yes, that was awesome. Yeah.
Seeing them then. We saw them at an Edge birthday, like the first Edge birthday in 1995.
Yes.
I think they were the headliner, right? And then
I think so, yeah.
Had like a bunch of people that didn't hang around, like God Lives Underwater and Mr. Merengue.
Yeah.
And, Gravity Kills. And what? 4 Squirrels?
4 Squirrels, son of a bitch. Hey, we're down with Gravity Kills, though. It's all good. All good.
Yeah.
And
just many other times at other festivals. And
yeah, they played another Edge Fest, like, later on, I think, during the Happy Pills.
Right.
I think, and then, you know, Rocklahoma and
a couple
whatnot.
times there.
Oh, we saw them at the fucking casino with Soul Asylum a long time ago.
That's right.
At the Osage, yeah. That was a good show. That was cool.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much to Kevin Martin. And if this is your first time listening, we appreciate it. If you love listening to podcasts, go back and check ours out.
Please do.
185 previous episodes. We've had on guys from Local H. I'm throwing that in because they're 90s rock. We've had on guys from Drowning Pool, Seven Dust, Shinedown, Saving Abel, Megadeth.
There you go.
Dave Elfson and formerly Chris Broderick.
That's right.
Bruce Kulick, Used to be in the band Kiss. He was on here. Gene Simmons has always been in the band Kiss.
And he was on here.
That's true, which is very cool to be able to still say a year and a half later.
Definitely.
One day, Paul Stanley will be on here. I have a feeling. Probably Eric Singer.
I hope so.
Yeah, probably just be Eric Singer, but hey, that's cool.
That would be better for me.
Right. We could talk about Badlands.
And Revenge.
Yeah.
That would be fucking awesome.
You know, just think of it. He's been in Kiss. He's been in Black Sabbath. He's been in Badlands.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. The guy's fucking badass.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of badass people, Kirk Winstein's been on here. Shooter Jennings has been on here. If you like melodic 80s hard rock, Great White, Europe, Firehouse, Trickster Warrant, Bullet Boys, Frank Hannon from Tesla was recently on here.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Found on guys from Superjoint, from Wino, from The Obsessed.
Overkill.
Yeah. The Mighty Overkill.
Insight.
What else?
Miss May I.
Yeah.
Guar.
Eddie Trunk, we mentioned him earlier.
Eddie Trunk, he was on here for a while. I mean,
Feeling Somno.
For like 2 seconds.
That was about 28 seconds.
Oh, that was in the Jimmy Bauer episode.
Yeah.
Mike Dean from COC.
And Reed Mullen from COC.
And Reed Mullen from COC.
But
Fuck
yeah. That's a lot of people, and there's a lot of people we're forgetting right now for some reason. So
but you get the idea.
Yeah. It's soundcloud.com/thunder-underground, or just get on our website, thethunderunderground.com. You can stream right there. If you like downloading shit, go to iTunes, Google Music. You can also stream us on Stitcher, TuneIn, all that great shit. YouTube as well. That is at The Thunder Underground. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Follow us all there. Wherever you listen, wherever it's at, hit like, hit share if you get a chance. Leave a comment or a review on any of those sites. It helps spread the word.
That's right.
Then get on patreon.com. Look up Thunder Underground. Send us a few bucks.
Please.
It'd be amazingly appreciated. It helps this thing keep going.
If you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to... Our feelings are not going to be hurt if you don't.
That's right.
But we would really fucking love you if you do.
Amen to that.
Jason will personally give you the Thunder Underground Melon Baller.
Well, we got to get them made first.
All right. We'll get a prototype made so you can give it to someone.
All right, I'll get on that.
But yeah, hear us every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central on 1027WSNR.com. And once again, Thunder Underground Fest is coming quicker than ever. It's like 7 weeks away now.
I can't wait.
October 19th and October 20th in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
That's right.
If you're not in the area, just get on Facebook and share it for us. We would appreciate that as well. Once again, check out Sprout the Anti-Hero. That great new song is on YouTube. You can also find it on his Facebook page. And then look up Candlebox. All their new shit as well. And thank you to Kevin Martin.
Definitely.
And until next time.
You want to do it in front of all the booze?
Sure. So this is how they fucking rock, these guys.
Thunder Underground, y'all.